You're watching Chilly Boy Productions. I'm Larry Chilly Boy Chilson, and this is my review for Moana 2. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Moana 2 is a 2024 animated action adventure fantasy film from Disney Animated Studios. After saving her island and returning the heart of Taifiti, Moana must journey to the far sides of Oceania after receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors. The film once again stars auli'i as Moana and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Maui, along with other returning cast members, Tamuri Morrison, Nicole Scherzinger, and Alan Tudyk. So I absolutely adore Moana. If you have watched my top 50 animated films of all time series, you'll see it's pretty high up there on that. It's easily my favorite animated film of the past decade. It might even be my favorite Disney animated film of this century. I adore this film. It's one of my favorites from Disney, period. So when Disney, out of the clear blue, announced Moana 2 was coming this Thanksgiving earlier this year, first of all, I was stunned, completely taken off guard. But then I was so excited we were actually getting a Moana 2. Unfortunately, they said we're still getting that live action just a year later. Hmm. But what you gonna do? But amongst the excitement, I was just completely stunned and a little bit curious. And that curiosity soon was turned to great worry when I heard that it was actually a Moana Disney Plus series that they decided to mash together for Moana 2 instead and put into theaters. Yeah, that's not a very promising sounding idea to me. So I quickly became very, very concerned for Moana 2. Now, judging off of the tracking for the box office numbers, it seems they made the right decision financially. But did they make the right decision creatively? Did they do right by this character by creating Moana 2 in this fashion? Well, I'm inclined to say no. So while I think Moana 2 is perfectly fine, it's a perfectly serviceable sequel for one of the studio's best modern day classics, serviceable just isn't enough. Now, it's not the disaster I was thinking it could be, but it's not as good as I wish it was. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. The biggest positive, once again, is the animation. It is absolutely gorgeous. The film looks stunning. Now, of course, we would have probably lost a lot of that animation quality in a Disney Plus series, but wow, what they were able to create for the film is spectacular. Now, I will say this. I don't know if I think it's more beautiful than the original Moana, though, and that's nearly a decade old. But nonetheless, it still looks beautiful. I also love our returning characters, specifically in Moana and Maui. I think they are the clear highlights. I love that they did end up getting auli'i and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back because they are these characters and they were wonderful yet again. I love their dynamic and their chemistry. Maui really breathes some fresh life into the film narratively. The pacing of it needs Maui desperately as we move throughout. And then we have Moana at the core, at the heart of it all, who continues to just be one of their best crafted princess archetype characters. And I also enjoyed the third act specifically. Up until that third act, I thought, oh, okay, well, here we are. And then it all comes together in quite in an emotionally in an emotionally resonant fashion in that third act. Some things happen, some characters make decisions that I actually found to be quite impactful. So I enjoy where we end up for the journey. And I also enjoy that we are sticking true to the heritage of it all. That culture is such a huge part of the character, of the story, of the world that's created through Moana. It's so integral to her and that original film, and I'm very happy to report back that they do not lose that for the sequel. Also, they heard our complaints. They brought Pua along this time. We were not hoodwinked like we were with the advertising of the first film. Pua has a much larger role this go round. As for the new characters, they are a little bit hit or miss. I did enjoy Moana's little sister particularly, and I thought their bond was really cute and well handled. But unfortunately, that's all going to lead us into my issues with Moana 2. So let's talk about the negatives. Well, this feels like kind of a classic Disney sequel problem. It's fine, but everything is just a step or two below the original film. The animation for me was a step below that original film. The story is very similar to the original, but it doesn't have the weight and the impact that that original film had. The music, both original score and original songs, are not as good, honestly. Woo, they sure are missing Lin-Manuel Miranda for this one, I'll tell you that, because by and large, this soundtrack does not even touch that original right here. None of these songs are anywhere near as memorable as, well, basically any of the songs from the original. And they rely so heavily on referencing Moana, the first film. We even straight up repeat several jokes. Just lifted them out of that film and put them right back in here. Like, hey, it's not even a nod to the original. It's literally just copying the jokes from the original, which is very disappointing. Our gang on the ship, I don't think are bad necessarily. I actually think some of their character moments are a lot of fun. I like the fangirling over Maui, all of that. But they also just kind of take away from the journey a little bit. By the end of it, you kind of feel like, were they needed? I don't know. I think this could have still been a one-woman job with a demigod by her side. This time we have a more direct villain, and I know a lot of people had a problem with Moana not having an actual villain. Well, here you go. We have a villain in a very similar story beat, and the story is worse off for it. And while I think they do an okay job blending the episodes of the TV series together so that it doesn't feel so episodic, it still has TV episode feel to it, particularly in the pacing. There is a definite pacing problem through the middle portion of this film specifically, and I think it has to do with the fact that they were trying to put these different storylines together from these different episodes of the TV series into a full-length feature film narrative. We don't have moments where you're like, oh, that's where the episode cuts. However, you can distinctly feel which storylines were supposed to go with which episode. And across the board, the script just isn't quite as good. So overall, I had an okay time watching Moana 2. I think there is plenty to enjoy with the film. Once again, Moana as a character is a fantastic protagonist, and I enjoy her personal journey once more. I enjoy her roots into her culture and her great ties into her family. And Maui is easily Dwayne The Rock Johnson's best character that he's created through any sort of acting performance, and he shines in this context. Unfortunately, the story feels like treaded water. We've been here, we've done this, and we did it quite a bit better the first go round. So if you enjoyed Moana, I'd say give it a shot, but maybe give this more of a matinee pricing. It's nice to revisit these characters and go on another journey with them, but certainly a step down from the classic it's following up. So that was my review for Moana 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Moana 2? Have you checked it out? What did you think? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.